Welcome everyone to the game between Nihal Sarin and Zhu Jiner at the Fujairah Superstars 2025. Nihal, of course, one of the best youngsters in the world of chess, and Zhu Jiner he has become women's world number 2. That's just incredible what she's managed to achieve. She's surpassed Zhu Wenjun, Lei Tingye, and all of them to become one of the strongest players on the planet. She's now second ranked in the world behind Ho Yifan. And today Nihal takes her on in this encounter, and Nihal is thinking for his first move. Recently Nihal comes to the board with kind of this freshness. He doesn't have anything particular in his mind what to play. Perhaps he gets this inspiration over the board and then plays it. I guess that's how he does it, but maybe not. D4, maybe this is part of his preparation and he was just taking time before the first move. And now pawn to e6. And what will Nihal Sarin play? He goes bishop g5. This is known as the Torre attack. You pin the knight, and Zhu Jiner keeps it simple, takes the space in the center with d5. Nihal brings his knight to d2, maybe looking for the e4 break, and Zhu Jiner just breaks the pin with bishop to e7. He pushes his pawn to e3. One of the edges that white has in such positions is the fact that his bishop is outside the pawn chain while black bishop is blocked by his own pawns. Bishop h4. And now Zhu Jiner plays pawn to b6. She wants to trade the bishops here with bishop a6, which is a very smart idea because her own bishop is not doing much on c8. Pawn comes up to c3. Nihal is waiting. If you do bishop a6, then he'll take and give a check, winning the bishop. So bishop b7 played, and now a4 is played, trying to gain space on the queen side. Generally you respond back with a6, but look at the smart move by Zhu Jiner. Now that the queen can no longer come to a4, she plays her bishop to a6. Bishop takes on a6. Knight takes a6 and pawn pushes forward to a5. And now Zhu Jiner under some pressure here. She castles, but Nihal can take and his rook would be active on the a file. And so he takes, a takes b6. Pawn takes on b6. By the way, in this tournament, Zhu Jiner has played an absolutely stunning tournament. She's beaten some of the best players in the world. Queen e2, attacking the knight. And Zhu Jiner goes queen c8, defending. And knight comes to e5. Once Nihal played his knight to e5, black responded back with c6. Maybe not the best move here. c5 would have been much better. But c6, Nihal castled, b5, and now rook a2, trying to double down the a file, putting pressure here. Rook e8, rook a1, and already big trouble here for Zhu Jiner. Bishop d6, and now bishop takes f6. Pawn takes, knight g4, attacking both these pawns. King g7 played to defend here, and now Nihal Sarin has a very strong move. The move that Nihal Sarin has in this position, which is incredibly strong, is e4, opening up the position against the black king. But will he play it? And it's amazing how in just 18 moves Nihal has got such a huge position, and he plays it. He plays e4, he gets up from the board, he has 25 minutes on the clock. Zhu Jiner has just 23 minutes. She pushes f5. Now, interesting move, because if you take on f5, ef5, the rook opens up against the king and the knight, against the queen, and the knight is also attacked. But Nihal very quickly pushes e5. He realizes that after pawn takes, he can take on g4 and then take on d6. So Zhu Jiner plays her bishop back to e7. And once again, a very important move here. Finds it. Knight to f6. Attacking the rook. Ready to give up a pawn if the knight is taken. Bishop takes. Zhu Jiner's like, I must take it there. E takes f6. King takes f6. And now queen, knight jumps to f3. Nihal plays here, knight to f3. He just trusts his position that the black king is weak. If king g7, he wants to go knight e5. And he's playing against this knight on a6, which is doing nothing in the game. So king g7 played. And now jump in with the knight. Exactly. He plays his knight to e5. And now many threats. Queen h5 could be one idea. Also knight d3 to knight c5, not to be underestimated. Zhu Jiner plays f6. But now just knight d3. Yes, the knight is going to c5 to put pressure on the a file. Also knight f4. Do not forget these two rooks who have been lined up since quite some moves. Rook e7. Zhu Jiner wants to get her rook to a7 perhaps. But now knight c5, e6 pawn is also weak. He goes queen h5. He's playing in both sides of the board, Nihal. He has complete control. Rooks looking here, knight f4, threatening queen g6 could also become an idea here. So king comes to h7. And now if knight f4, there is rook g7 to defend the g6 point. And let's see how Nihal plays here. He finds knight f4, okay, but what does he have in mind for rook g7? You can't take on e6, right? Because queen e6, rook a6, rook a6, rook a6 and queen e1 is a mate. Well, Nihal is not attached to his rooks being doubled on the a file. He plays rook e1, putting pressure on e6. Brilliant chess here by Nihal Sarin. She goes queen g8. Well, now you can take here, but the g2 pawn is hanging. You can just tuck your king. It should also be totally better. But why hurry? Yeah, just play g3. Exactly. Look at Nihal calmly making that move g3, knowing that his opponent has absolutely no counterplay. Rook goes to g5, attacking the queen. And now simply queen to f3 back. Plays it. Queen to f3. And now e6 is hanging. This position is kind of resignable. Knight c7. And Nihal can simply chop off the rook. Knight takes and then pick up the e6 pawn. Oh, takes on 8. Maybe you can take with the queen. Yeah, that's what she does to keep the e6 pawn defended. But now you will see that if the e6 pawn falls, f5 and f6 also become super weak. And Nihal goes h4. I love this move because the idea is after knight e6, the f5 pawn will also be hanging as the rook would no longer be defending it. Rook goes back to g6. She's hoping that Nihal would take the rook to create some kind of a fortress, but Nihal is unperturbed. He is like, I know that e6 pawn is even more important than winning the exchange here. Knight takes on e6. Rook takes e6. Now f5 is hanging, the king is in trouble, h5 could come in, c6 pawn is weak. Zhu Jiner goes queen a1 check. You can see that she's not too thrilled with her position. She knows that it's almost done here. King comes up to g2. And now queen b1, protecting the pawn on f5. Rook takes c6, taken. And now d5 is hanging. Everything's just falling down. And Zhu Jiner resigns.